The Ministry of Defence gave a written commitment that these fascinating files would be released after the main disclosure project ended in 2013, but more than 5 years of hold-ups and various issues had made UFO researchers wonder whether it would ever happen. But then a complete set of redacted copies were sent out ahead of their planned opening at the National Archives. The files paint a fascinating picture of the arguments that raged behind closed doors in Whitehall around the 50th anniversary of the UFO mystery in 1997. Within them, civil servants, intelligence officers and military staff debate how they should respond to growing public interest in the phenomenon and the media's obsession with UFOs. But hidden deep within the layers of administrative tedium lies a more disturbing aspect of military and intelligence interest in the subject, and the decision to discontinue more than half a century monitoring UFO reports. As the Defence Intelligence Branch responsible for the investigation of UFO reports, DI-55 secretly collected data on sightings from 1967 until the end of 2000. For 33 years, the MOD's Public Relations Branch Secretariat, Air Staff 2, popularly known as the UFO Desk, copied all sighting reports they received to military desk officers in DI-55, but they had no need to know what happened to the data after that point. The Defence Intelligence Staff quietly ended its UFO task in 2000, and 9 years later, in November 2009, the MOD closed its UFO desk and telephone hotline. The reasons were made clear in 2013. Carl Mantle of the RAF briefed ministers that in more than 50 years no UFO sighting has revealed anything to suggest an extraterrestrial presence or military threat to the UK. The decision was presented as an easy option to divert resources to more urgent defence priorities, but what prompted the Defence Intelligence Staff's decision to disengage from the subject was cleverly buried. The new papers show the UFO desk head in 1997 wanted to get rid of an issue that civil servants considered a diversion from their main duties. But there was one RAF wing commander who disagreed with their ostrich-like stance. He argued that as the MOD had not carried out any funded study of the sighting data accumulated since the 1970s, it was not credible and also politically risky to claim publicly that UFOs posed no threat to the realm. He compared UFOs to Soviet intruder aircraft that routinely penetrated UK airspace during the Cold War. They were not hostile, but they were definitely a threat, he wrote. But despite the DI-55's more open-minded attitude, in 2000 the head of Defence Intelligence, P.H. West, formally asked the UFO desk to discontinue the arrangement whereby reports of strange objects in the sky were sent to them, even those from credible sources such as police officers. At the time, the precise reason for this extraordinary decision remained an official secret. It was in 2006 when researchers used the new Freedom of Information Act to request a full explanation that the existence of a secret DI-55 study of UFOs emerged. In that year, the MOD revealed that a 4-volume report with the title UAPs in the UK Air Defence Region had been commissioned by the DIS in 1996 and completed in 2000. This has become known as the Condign Report, after the code word used by the MOD that means fitting and well deserved, and is usually applied to punishment. It was originally classified secret, with the caveat UK eyes only. For some time the DIS had used the acronym UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, to avoid the popular link with extraterrestrial craft. The new papers showed terminology was just one of the many sources of disagreement between DI-55 and the UFO desk. The latter stubbornly refused to use UAP, arguing that, to the vast majority of the public we deal with, UFO, with all its extraterrestrial connotations, is the only term they recognise, so we shall continue with UFO. One issue they did agree upon was the need to conceal any reference to the existence of the UAP study from the public because of the potential for political embarrassment and misunderstanding. For decades, MPs, press and members of the public had been routinely told that no public money had been spent on any study of the thousands of UFO reports the MOD had received since the 1960s. Yet in response to questions in a parliament in 2007, the MOD admitted £50,000 had been paid to an existing defence contractor to produce the Condign report. Defence Minister Adam Ingram refused to release the name of the author, a retired DI-55 desk officer, but said that the report was circulated within the DIS and to other branches of the Ministry of Defence and RAF. During the 3-year project, the report's author worked under strict secrecy. In James Bond style, only his boss and secretary, who was told not to use the term UFO on the phone, were allowed to know the project code name. The released files revealed his opposite numbers on the MOD's UFO desk, where Nick Pope's successor Kerry Philippot worked until 1998. Were deliberately kept out of the loop because DI-55 regarded civilian desk officers as prone to leakiness. The head of DI-55 ordered the Condign author to focus his attention only on the possible threat to the UK and technology acquisition, and not X-Files activities such as alien abductions. He was given access to the then-secret surviving DI UFO file store at the MOD's old War Office building, which contained several thousand sighting report forms dating from the 1970s. Most of this information was, by his own admission, of poor quality, and few sightings reported to the MOD had been investigated to exclude common misidentifications or even hoaxes. Yet his secretary was employed to manually populate an Excel spreadsheet with this flawed data. This was used to scrutinise UFO data covering a 10-year period, 1987 to 1997. But a decision was taken not to examine or follow up any of the better quality cases, such as Rendlesham, which might have produced useful insights. What was the Condign author hoping to find using this questionable methodology? In an earlier list of priorities, he notes under technology acquisition, try to discover whether any scientific facts can be elicited from these phenomena, whatever they may be, which might be made use of by UK for military purposes. What type of technology? Was it Russian, Chinese, or alien technology? Within an April 1997 policy document, another DI officer refers to extraterrestrial objects, ETOs, as one potential explanation for UFOs, adding, "Being an objective, open-minded scientist, I do not dismiss out of hand the possibility of intelligent life evolving somewhere outside of our own solar system. The laws of probability would indicate a finite, albeit small, likelihood." But he admits that DI-55 had no hard evidence that visitations have occurred, and, if credibility is given to ET, a judgment needs to be made about which government department is best suited to address it. There's a job to keep GCHQ occupied. According to the UAP report, there were no unexplained artifacts from UFO crashes, no radiation readings, no electronic or signals intelligence, or even any reliable photographs in the MOD's secret archive, apart from those showing Black Project aircraft. The MOD's long experience demonstrated that most sighting reports could be explained by a range of known phenomena, both natural and man-made. The author of the Condign report concluded UAPs were real, but not ET spacecraft. He came to believe they were atmospheric plasmas, and linked modern cases with accounts of Foo Fighters reported by World War II aircrew. His assessment was based on a survey of open-source material available to him via the MOD's archive and the scientific and ufological literature. This included some very tenuous material from Russian sources and popular books and journal articles on earthquake lights and ball lightning, but he went even further in his subsidiary recommendation that UK military should investigate potential methods whereby plasma could be harnessed and used as advanced weaponry. But the fact remains that despite the popularity of the UAP theory with some ufologists, plasmas are no more valid as a scientific explanation for the unexplained residue of UFO sightings than are ETs. Indeed, the new papers show his theory was not taken seriously by his superiors. He retired soon after delivery of the Condign report, and, according to the MOD, none of his other recommendations were ever acted upon. All, that is, except one, that it should no longer be a requirement for DI-55 to monitor UAP reports, as they do not demonstrably provide information useful for defence intelligence. So, was this the real agenda behind the Condign report? Some researchers believe the answer is a definitive yes. It explains the reluctance of the report's author to engage with the scientific community since the report emerged in 2006. Today he continues to keep a low profile. Why? The UAP project was classified secret when it was completed in 2000, and its author remains subject to the Official Secrets Act. What we can say for sure is this: the report is the product of one man's desire to prove his pet theory about UFOs, or UAPs, of which there are many other failed examples littering the history of the subject. Unfortunately, the data he used to prove his case was neither robust nor reliable. Inevitably, and despite his intelligence credentials, the methodology he employed was flawed and thus invalidated his conclusion. The only explanation is that he had been left with no option but to produce a pre-ordered conclusion, regardless of where the evidence actually pointed. Whether secret work on UAPs continues somewhere in the British military, perhaps outsourced to another contractor, remains an intriguing and unanswered question. In December 2017, the Pentagon confirmed that a similar